Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and a very good day to all of you. The topic of today's lecture is obviously the process selection and the facility layout. So it's a very big chapter and a very important chapter of this operations management course. So from the name of this chapter, you could understand that this particular chapter has been divided into two different parts. The first one is the process selection and the second one is obviously the facility layout. So I believe that everyone already got the lecture note of this particular chapter. So I believe that everyone has the lecture note in front of you so that you can proceed in accordance with my lecture note. So let's start with the first statement of this particular course. It says that what is the process? Process converts inputs into outputs. I believe that I have talked about this many of the times in the class in the operations management lectures, that processes basically converts the inputs into the outputs. Now, process selection refers to deciding on the way the production of goods or services will be organized. And if you look at the third statement, it says that it affects the entire organization and its ability to achieve its mission and effective supply chain management. So basically, you understand or you know that there are a lot of different types of manufacturing organizations throughout the whole world, and they manufacture different types of products in different amounts in different types of using machineries. So based on this particular types of product, the entire organizations of the manufacturing companies, they decided to divide their business processes or the processes into different ways. So that's why the process selection plays a very important role in terms of identifying the nature of the process of the manufacturing. So before going on to the process selection in a deep way or in a very detailed way, I just wanted to show you some or wanted to tell you some different things. What are the major implications of process selection and what is the process selection by definition? So if you look at the process selection, it says that deciding on the way the production of goods or services will be organized. So in this process selection, you have to select the process, how the production will be organized. And if you look at the major implication of this one, it is the capacity planning, layout of the facilities, equipment, and design of the work system. So if you want to go through the process selection, you have to make sure that you know the capacity, you know what are the facilities available, the equipments, and also the work system. Now, I'm going to show you in the second slide the two definitions. You can see one is the capital intensity, another one the process flexibility. So if you look at the first definition, it says that the mix of equipment and labor that will be used by the organization. So nowadays, obviously, we're going through the transformation process at the moment in terms of the manufacturing organizations. So most of the organization now is the automation, but still you need some kind of human labor, because obviously without the input of the human labor, it would be really hard for the organization to go through with the automation. So the mixing of human labor and also the equipment, this is basically what we call the capital intensity. If you look at the second one, it says the process flexibility. So what is the definition of the process flexibility? The degree to which the system can be adjusted to changes in processing requirements due to such factors, changes the product service design, or the change in the volume of the product produced. So basically what the process flexibility means, how much you can adjust the overall processing. What are the flexibility in terms of using the automations or the human labor, and also how much you want to actually produce, whether you're going to produce in a small amount of or whether you're actually going to produce in a bigger amount of. So based on the four different determinants, the overall manufacturing organizations divided their process into four different parts. So let's see what are the four determinants. Those are based on this particular process selection. So again, I am saying the organization or manufacturing organizations or institutions actually divide the overall business process based on four determinants. So if you look at the little whiteboard, obviously not a very big one, what are the four determinants? The first one is the job variety. Second one is the process flexibility. Third one, unit cost. And fourth one is the volume of output. Right, so based on these four determinants, the entire manufacturing organizations divided their business manufacturing process into four different categories. First one we call job shop. Second one we call the batch process. Third one we call the repetitive process. And fourth one is the continuous process. So based on these four determinants, the entire manufacturing organization divided the business manufacturing process into four different categories: job shop, batch process, repetitive, and the continuous. Now this is the kind of matrix. Matrix. So to fill up the overall matrix of the cross matrix, we actually have like four measurements. We called it very high, high, moderate, low, and very low. So these are five measurements based on the Likert scale, obviously. So these are the measurements, and this will define which particular type of organization will follow which processes based on these four determinants. So now, if you look at the lecture note, so first of all, we started with the job shop. So what does the job shop basically means? It says a job shop usually operates on a relatively small scale. It used when a low volume of high varieties of goods or services will be needed. So look at this particular thing very carefully. It says the job shop usually operates on a relatively small scale. So that means the volume of output is very low in these particular types of processes. So that means when the volume of output is very low, and obviously it's small, it operates in a relatively small scale. Basically this kind of manufacturing process, the organization called it job shop. If you look at the second statement, it says here processing is intermittent. What that particular word means, work includes small jobs, each with different processing requirements. So that means if you look at this particular matrix, so we have job variety. So if you look at the second statement of your lecture note, it says the different processing requirements. So that means job variety is available there. Now, if you look at the third statement, it said high flexibility using general purpose equipment and skilled workers are important characteristics of a job shop. That means you require flexibility, is high flexibility, and also you require the skilled workers who can actually operate this kind of equipments for high variety. So, right, so these are the categories of identifying the job shop process, or what type of manufacturing organization, what type of products is actually applicable for job shop process there. So now I'm going back to this particular matrix. As I told you that we have like five different processes, five different measurements: very high, high, moderate, low, and very low. So now I'm going to fill this particular matrix by using this measurement based on the characteristics given the job variety. In the job shop. So we can definitely identify that in the job shop, the job variety is very high. So I put it V there, small letter, obviously, very high. So where the job variety high, so that means you require the equipments which has got a lot of flexibility. So you can do a lot of different types of work by using different types of equipment. So that means you need the process flexibility. So as the job variety is very high in job shop, in accordance with that, the process flexibility is also very high. Right, now when you require a lot of different types of works in a single manufacturing process, if you require different types of equipment, basically we can say the unit cost will be very high. But what will be the volume of the output? So I can tell you again, the first statement of this particular lecture, it says it is used when a low volume of high variety goods or services will be needed. So that means the volume of output will be very low. So those particular organization or those particular manufacturing process will be used job shop process, where job variety is very high, process flexibility is very high, unit cost is very high, and also the volume of output is very low. Right. Can anyone give me an example of this kind of organization where the job shop process will be applicable? Obviously, you cannot give me the answer right now, but I can show you the answer in the lecture note. So it says that organization producing state-of-art tools. So that means those particular organizations are producing modern, equipped tools. Those particular process can be fit in the job shop. So I want to give you another example of the job shop process. That is, obviously, you know, there are a lot of different type of concept car, or like a lot of people actually use a very customized watches like Rolex watch. Some people use Omega watch. So when you think those particular types of manufacturing process, I'm going to, again for the Rolex watch, and also you know that each and every Rolex watch which has been made that has got a unique serial number, and each and every parts of the Rolex watch has been installed or has been assembled manually. So you need a lot of different types of tools, a lot of different types of small equipments to fit all the small parts of a Rolex watch into a compound Rolex watch. So that means it required a lot of job variety, because it's not a continuous process that you are doing the same process for over long. But for each and every watch, it has the got job variety. So that means when the job variety available, you need the process flexibility. That means the tool you are going to use, you have to have a lot of flexibility on this particular tools there. Unit cost, I don't need to say how much the Rolex cost was. Rolex watch cost. And if you look at the volume of the output, is a very low because Rolex actually not producing the watches like the Casios and others for the general purpose uses. So this is one example of the product-oriented organization. And also I can give you a lot of examples, like if you think about the Rolls-Royce cars, okay, we know the Toyota, we know the Mercedes, we know BMWs, but if you think about the Rolls-Royce, Ferraris, okay, so each and every, like this luxury cars actually made manually. And if you, I have to give you share information like Rolls-Royce, every nuts and bolts, every single parts they used to build up a Rolls-Royce car, it has got the R&R, their signature logo on each and every parts, even the small nut and even the small bolt there. So it requires a lot of expert people, a lot of skilled people to make this one, and that's why we call it is a job shop process, because you require a lot of different types of process flexibility, job variety, and also the volume of output is very low there. Now, this is the example of the product-oriented organization, but if I want to give you the example of the service-oriented organization, it says the hospital medical service. If you think about the hospitals, what we think, we not everyone going to the hospital with the same disease. We have got different types of disease, and for the different types of disease, there are a lot of different types of treatments. And for the treatment, you require a lot of different types of tools, a lot of different types of machines. Like if you're doing the X-ray, you need the X-ray machine. If you want to do the ultrasound, you need the ultrasound machine. A lot of different kind of things. And obviously, the unit cost is very high for medical service. You already know that. And the volume of output is absolutely low. Not everyone get cured by a single day. Okay, it required a lot of time there. So if I ask you what type of process it will be applicable in medical service, we can definitely say this is a job shop process.